Welcome to Focus on B, the video series where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on, and this is the legendary Blood by the prolific, semi-prolific I would say, Night Dive Studios are very prolific, but I mean Monolith Production, who you might know from, well, this game. Also Captain Claw, I think that's what it was called. This game, it was like a 2D platformer with pirate furries. It was a very interesting game. Yes, it was about furries who download games illegally, but really though, it was weird. It was cool though. And you might also know them for Fear.
Stuck.
And I guess not so much Fear 2. There was also a Blood 2. Did you know that? Blood 2 happened, and it wasn't fantastic. It was a bit buggy, it was a bit weird. The visuals don't hold up quite as well because this game has beautiful sprite work, whereas Blood 2 just had kind of Half-Life-esque visuals. But unlike Half-Life, which has an awesome visual style, oh man, the aiming is so weird here because it's semi-auto aim, but not really. So you still have to aim vertically, even though you think that you wouldn't have to do that considering this is a build engine game. And yes, one of the big free build engine games this is, together with, Duke Nukem 3D and also Shadow Warrior. But what's odd is that Blood has really just... I think Blood 2 might have just basically killed the series until this remake, which is Blood Fresh Supply by Night Dive Studios. Go figure. What the fuck? You rats! God, what is this shit? The world of Kingpin? What am I in Skid Row? That's the name of not just the Cracking group and not just the Metal group, but also the the place from that game. But anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, so you know how Duke Nukem 3D is one of the build engine games, right? The build engine game, and how despite the fact that the series itself has practically just perished, the community will refuse to let the games themselves die, especially the first one, not the first one, I mean the one that everyone considers that, no, there were Duke Nukem games before 3D, but that's the one that everyone remembers. And then there's also Shadow Warrior, which somehow was revived semi-successfully, in fact, not semi, genuinely successfully with, Shadow Warrior 2013, and there was also Shadow Warrior 2 and Free. Don't know anything about Free, like whether or not it was all that good, but it exists, so that's cool. Oh, that was a waste of time and ammo. That's great. So let's just talk about Blood as just a first-person shooter in general. I have an interesting relationship with this game because before I played Fresh Supply, I played the original shareware version on an emulator, right, on DOSBox. I was like, what is it like? I could have just, got my hands on the full one, if you know what I mean, but I was like, no, let's keep it legit and actually just play the shareware version. And you know what I realized? It's fucking hard. Even on the easiest difficulty, still kicking, I could barely get past the first few stages. And I had just no idea why. Why was it? Well, I think I knew. It was because the enemies do a fuck ton of damage, especially these shotgun assholes right here. What? Hit the switch? Yes, I know. And so, I came into Fresh Supply expecting the game to not necessarily... here's the thing. I was expecting the difficulty to be a little bit lower by virtue of the fact that I can do this. So naturally the game's going to be easier. However, what I wasn't expecting was the fact that even without this, the game is still easier. Significantly so on still kicking. Like really, a lot easier. And I think I know why. It's because Night Dive have rebalanced the enemy difficulty.
Victims for the ever-growing army of the undead.
The voice acting is genuinely really good. So enemies don't do 90% damage every time they hit you, especially the shotgun guys. Like, yes, right now with my current level of health, I'm practically a walking corpse. However, that is just because I've been careless these last few... Fuck, die! I still don't know exactly what constitutes the zombies dying, because sometimes they get back up, but as you can see, his head is not there. Oh shit! Wah-na-na! Die, fucker! There you go. I have no idea what they actually say. I'm assuming it's in... What language could it possibly be in? I don't know. Maybe Spanish? Maybe Latin? I don't know. Doesn't matter, though, because you shoot them in the face. Look at the voxels. Yeah, the Night Dive Studios version also adds little voxels. So anyway, I think that the scaled, the rebalanced enemy damage is what makes the Night Dive version far easier on this respective difficulty. Now, they have actually added an extra difficulty, that being made to order, which I imagine is even harder, although I do not even dare to try it, considering that, as you can see, I'm not even doing too well on still kicking, because again, you gotta remember, this is a shooter from 1997. It's been made a little easier, rightfully so. However, that doesn't change the fact that you will die a lot. I did not die as much as I expected to. In fact, I actually never had to whip out God mode a single time during my playthrough. I haven't beaten the game. I made it to about halfway through the second episode, I guess you'd call it. Yeah, the second, like, chapter of the game, so to speak. And something that I found kind of weird was the fact that the game kind of boots you back to the menu after beating the first one. I don't know what's up with that, but oh my god, it's guys. Run away, guys. Those were added, I think, because I do not remember them from the shareware version. But to be fair, it was very common back then for the shareware versions to be slightly earlier builds. You know, I recently played through Jazz Jackrabbit 2, and I found this archive of like a 1.0 OEM release of the game. You know what I found out about that? That it was actually a beta version of the game. And yet it was almost identical to the final game. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. I'm definitely going to be talking about that game too, because I love me some late 90s platformers. But anyway, so back to Blood. Great sense of style. This game is so fucking chunky. It's easily my favorite looking of the most polished looking of all of the build games. In fact, straight up, this is my favorite of the Build Engine trilogy, so to speak. Despite it objectively being the least successful franchise, right, compared to Duke Nukem and also Shadow Warrior, this is my favorite game. The style, the level design, the level set pieces, it almost has a little bit of Half-Life in it. Well, it's not quite Half-Life, obviously. In fact, ironically enough, Blood 2 would basically fail to live up to Half-Life, which came out the same year. But this game has a lot of really, really great detail in the way its levels are designed, and they're not too confusing. Wa-na-na, fucker. Oh, shit. Okay, I should probably, you know what, I'm just gonna, for the sake of the Let's Play, like, it's not really a Let's Play, but you know what I mean, for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna do that, because I do not want to have to restart again. This is my second recording, actually. Look at this. I'm gonna assume that's one of the game devs, because that's just how it was back then. They would just put the game devs there. You know what else I love about this game? The arsenal. It's so unique, and it's so unusual compared to your typical FPS arsenal, because yeah, you got your pistol, you got your shotguns and all that. Why can't I use my weapon? Oh yeah, because it's M. There you go. I was hitting enter because like I'm used to enter being like the use item key, but it's actually M. Which means I can disable God mode now, actually. Actually, I should probably just keep it on the whole time. I don't know. But yeah, the arsenal is, it's like it walks a very fine line between being very different and very traditional, right? Because sometimes some games will have these super gimmicky and weird arsenals, which don't necessarily lend themselves to great game design, just because being different for the sake of different sometimes isn't the best way to go about it. But you also don't want your arsenal to just be, oh, it's Quake 2 again, you know? Just like the most typical thing. Here we have a very nice balance. So the shotgun is just your shotgun, right? Just a shotgun that's a shotgun, and that's it. The pitchfork is just your melee weapon, although you can also take people's heads off with it, which is pretty cool. And what surprised me about this game is that it actually respects the Y-axis. Like, you genuinely have to aim up and down for things to work properly, for you to hit certain things. It's not like in Doom where it doesn't matter. Because the way it's a build engine game, it's not a id Tech engine game. Get some health, there you go. Yeah, it took me a while to realize those were actually the health pickups. And that's another thing, this game stylizes everything in a really cool way. It's like every single pickup is not, oh, fuck yes, that feels good. The jibbing and gore in this game is just absolutely phenomenal. Then you have your flare gun, which is like, you think it's just a typical pistol. Hit this right here. But in reality, it's more than just the wait, hold on, I know what I have to do here. I have to shoot this, and it opens up this area, right? And then, after you've opened up this area, you have to go into here, hit this switch. Late 90s level design, and you get the cloak. Nice. But anyway, what was I talking about? See, the pistol, it's not just a pistol, it's a flare, which means that when you hit the enemy, it staggers for a bit, and then it gets set on fire, which is actually the most effective way to take out the zombies, the most surefire way. Because otherwise, you pretty much can't... I mean, no, they're not like the Quake zombies necessarily, because they can die eventually. It's just they're very prone to just getting back up. Now, I do not remember where I'm supposed to go, so I'm just going to keep talking about the game until I figure out where I'm supposed to go. In fact, it's probably super obvious that I'm just a fucking idiot. It is super obvious. Oh my god, look at that. You know what else I like about this game? The screams. Like, the sound bites for the screams are some of the few screams that I've ever heard in a first-person shooter, or even most video games, that genuinely sound tortured. Like, most of the time you'll hear voice-acted screams in games, right? Where the voice actor is acting as a scream. Like, they're screaming, but not actually... They don't sound like they're in pain because they're not. But here, the sounds are super intense. Like, they genuinely sound like animal cries. Because, you know, animals, they're not like people where we understand our limits. Animals don't understand our limits. They just go all in the whole time. And what happens is, you know, the things that they do, like the sounds that they make, are usually very, very intense. So, like, a lion roar, for example, will be actually the lion roaring as hard as it fucking can to survive, right? And a lot of the sounds in this game are super animalistic. They sound like they're on the brink of, like, the fucking, the person, or even if they use animal samples, you know, the animal, like, destroying their vocal cords. And I love that. It's so visceral and intense, right? It's not a sustainable way to do it, but it is a cool way to do it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when singers who sing with really bad technique, but it comes out in a certain way that sounds cool, but it does ruin their voice, however. And the same thing here. It's like, I've never heard screams in a game before where it's like, damn, they actually sound like someone is... Not even Half-Life 2 zombies and stuff like that. Not even that game does that. Also, do I have anything projectile-based? I do have this, the TNT, which is interesting because it works... It's similar to the pipe bomb from Duke Nukem, but it's also a little bit different. So you have to hold it down. Oh, you get a little bar underneath. That's nice. Night Dive added that. And you also get way more ammo for them than I typically would expect for... Like, this is the kind of weapon that I usually wouldn't expect the game give me a lot of ammo for. So this game is very generous with the TNT. I guess that, yeah, the dynamite ammo. You get a lot of it because the game just encourages you to use it almost as regularly as the rest of your weapons. In fact, I don't have any more regular weapons. What am I supposed to do now? Oh, no admittance? Well, fuck you. I'm gonna go in and get my shotgun ammo, and I do like how they voxelize a lot of this stuff, but in a very tasteful way, right? Like this is supposed to be flat, but in the Night Dive version, it's a little bit 3D, and I think the voxel aesthetic genuinely needs to make a comeback at some point. I mean, it kind of... I mean, Minecraft, but I don't really consider Minecraft like a voxel... I mean, it is a voxel game, objectively, but the cubes are so big, it's kind of different. I'm talking about, like... you know, what was that game? Delta Force, I believe? Yeah, Delta Force. Now, that was a really cool voxel-based game. I'm pretty sure this right here is not a new area, however. I think this just leads back to where Yep, I've already been there before. So let's just go and try and figure out where I'm supposed to go. We're talking about some other things. Why do I think that Blood 2 failed where Blood 1 succeeded? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Oh, this is a great scene. Hold on. Let me just show you.
Help! 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 Help!
That's pretty funny, ain't it? I think that's pretty funny. I love the train level. I've always loved train levels. Let me just save my game. Let's save a new thing just because I don't bother naming them properly. I just like name them random things. So why do I think Blood 2 failed? Well, for one, it was an absolute buggy fucking mess. It was rushed to shit, and it was. I'm not just like... Because a lot of people will assume certain games are rushed based on their quality. No, Blood 2 was rushed. Like, it just straight up was. Like, Monolith admitted that they just were not given enough time by their publishers to make the game the way it's supposed to be done. Right? Locked. And so that's... The thing is, a game can still be rushed and still be pretty damn good. There are plenty of examples of rushed games that are still fairly enjoyable games in their own right, even if they didn't quite have as much of what they should have had prior to being released, right? Due to having things cut in order to meet the deadlines. But with Blood 2, it's like... I'm not exactly, I can't really say, here's the thing, I've never played Blood 2, I've just seen a lot of reviews of it, and I hate how the game doesn't automatically reload your save, and I'm relatively familiar with, the thing is, it doesn't do enough to compare to what was the competition at the time, because you gotta understand, this game came out before Unreal, before, it was basically only in competition with Quake 2, if you think about it, and I guess Duke Nukem 3D.
Locked.
And I'd say this is better than Duke Nukem 3D. I'm just gonna say it outright. I think Blood 1 is way more fun than Duke Nukem 3D ever was. And I don't even hate Duke Nukem 3D. I've come around to liking it quite a bit. However, this game, it's just the style grabs me, the weapon loadout grabs me more, the level design. It's a tricky game, right? As you can see, even on the easiest difficulty, I'm still fucking dying quite often because the enemies can be very brutal. They're hit scan, they're very accurate, they see you quickly. But despite that, okay, they're not that accurate as you can see, although maybe that might be because I'm on still kicking, and it's possible that they make the enemies less accurate. Oh, dual kimbo. Yeah, this is a power-up in the game, which makes it so you can dual wield, except it's not really that useful because it's fairly limited. I'm pretty sure this can be opened, right? Yes, it opened, and I got Beast Vision. Why am I not using my health pack, you fucking idiot? Use that. There you go. Go back to akimbo while I still can. And another thing is that the plot just... Okay, so this game isn't... It doesn't take itself too seriously, right? But it's also not a cartoon. It's fairly dark in its subject matter, and it looks dark. Whereas Blood 2 is... It almost gives me shades of Daikatana in some ways. Although, is it better than Daikatana? I can't really say I've played either game enough. I haven't really played much of Daikatana either. So I can't... I confirm, but... Oh, you fracking idiot. How long has it been since my last save? Very long. Well, you know what we're doing? No clip. This is another thing that Night Dive Studios likes to do with their games. Oh, I love that though. Whenever you're in the furnace, they put a fucking gun in there. You, like, whenever you're on fire, your character will genuinely scream like that. It's really funny. It's interesting how you can still pick up items. It's very odd how different games handle their no-clipping in ghost modes. Like how some games will let you manipulate, will let you interact with certain objects in the environment, others won't. It's like, I think it's just to do with the way the engine works. But anyway, let's just go ahead and skip through and find what I'm supposed to find. Like, I can still get killed, too. That's the weird thing. Wow. You know, I actually had to do this for one of the levels, though, because I got so fucking confused. Oh, hi, me. Meet the fuck was that? Hi, me. Meet the real me. Anyway, okay, let's try and figure out where we're supposed to go now. I mean, the video's almost over, so it doesn't really matter that much. But, ooh, what is this area? Look, I don't feel bad about doing this because I've already beaten this level legitimately, so I'm just kind of dicking around. But let's stop dicking around there. Just continue, finish my train of thought. So why do I like this game so much more than the other build engine games? Well, Shadow Warriors doesn't do it for me thematically. I find it to be very boring. I know some people... I've read a couple reviews of Shadow Warrior that find it genuinely offensive. And I don't get that. It's a fucking comedy, that game, right? It's a complete joke in its tone. I don't know how you can be offended by it. But other than that, I just don't really care for its setting and its world, and also the level design is a little bit... It can be a little open at times, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I like levels like these, which are like super tiny and compact, but have a lot of interesting details and stuff like that. This is what I find interesting in a game. And that's what I want to keep playing. That's why, after I got my hands on Fresh Supply, I've been playing it for like, God knows how long, you know, okay, well, I just said that I've only gotten to like halfway through the second chapter, but that's because I play games very slowly, okay? Like, my 3-hour game, no, my 7-hour game is most people's 2-hour game, so to speak. As in, I cannot believe there are people who like find 5 hours, let's say, in a game to be short. It's like, what the fuck, 5 hours? I'm never gonna complete that game ever. Okay, no, I probably will. In fact, before I knew it, I completed Half-Life Opposing Force, even though it's longer than Blue Shift. But like, it depends on how the ratio of the game's length to the enjoyment factor. This game is actually quite short, really. Like Blood is not a super long game, even though this version does have a little more content to it. Let's go ahead and save before I fucking die again. There you go. But even still, I'm not sure if we'll ever get to the end unless I really force myself. It's more of an attention span thing, but it's a very good game, and I totally see myself like wanting to at least try to complete it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got the thing again. And that is a mark of an awesome game, in my opinion. And I've really been having a good time with it. It totally grew on me. It totally exceeded my expectations because, again, as I said, the shareware version that I played just like messing around was fucking bullshit. Like, it was so hard. But they seem to have rebalanced it that now, if I actually pay attention and play the game well when I'm not commentating, I don't really have too many problems. Fuck, I missed. Getting fruit. I've never liked Caleb's design, though. I've always found it to be really goofy looking. Also, wait a second. Why is he holding two? Does the game think that I still have the Kimbo power up? Because I don't. Well, that's an interesting little problem. Maybe they just never bothered to make multiple sprites for him holding different... I mean, let's find out. Yeah, it doesn't change. Is it like that in the original, or did Night Dive forget? Okay, I mean, like with Duke, I'm pretty sure that he changes what... Whatever, that's a tiny little detail. Doesn't really matter that much. But the overall game is very detailed, and I fucking hate rats. Rats! Why? Go back to Kingpin. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Focus on B, the video series where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on. And this has been Blood. I really, really, really like this game. You know, I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Seriously, I was like, oh, I don't want to play Blood, but let's do a video on it. Holy shit, I really like Blood, you know? Because, of course, I played the game a little bit before I decided to do a video on it. And yeah, it's like I was reluctant, but now it's like, holy shit. This is my favorite build. In fact, it's one of my favorite shooters from the era at this point. It's just so cool and oozing with just edge, but not... Mom, can we go to Hot Topic edge, and more like it's actually edgy but in a cool way, right? It's got taste, it's got style, it's got a good, it's tasteful edge. And that's the summary. Yes, Blood, tasteful edge. Anyway, so that's gonna do it for this episode, and I'll see you guys next time. This has been Blood 1997 PC.